walk through the valley of the shadow of hell, you will realize that there is something ahead. Something that lurks behind the dark veil. A veil that is beyond our own comprehension. Beyond the void.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to
Beyond the Void Horror Podcast.
We are back. It is Thursday. You're still here.
Hey.
Holy shit. You
We
guys
locked the door behind you guys? Or?
Dude, you guys are awesome. I fucking love you. No, thanks for coming by, guys. We appreciate it very much so. It is Thursday, and we're ready to kick it off for one of our movies I've learned to appreciate a little bit more over this last watching. We watched the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and then we ended up watching the remake, and we're going to break it down for you as to what we think, and this is their
Face Off.
So, welcome to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Face Off.
Got your face!
Got your face.
But, yeah, we're dorks. But yeah, we're going to be talking about that. So if you guys already know, you probably know that we already, that I actually streamed some live video gameplay, between Monday and today. So if you want to check that out, we'll have a link below. You can check that out on longlivethevoid.com as well, or our YouTube page or wherever, whatever is convenient for you. Also, as a reminder, we mentioned this on Monday. We are still doing the giveaway contest where we're going to give you some Blu-rays. Also, another giveaway, Other Halves DVD giveaway. So I'd like to give big congratulations to
Drum roll, Len at Lenco20 on Twitter
for winning the free DVD of Other Halves. Congratulations to you for doing that. We will have already hit you up through the Twitter feed into your private messages to send that out to you, and we'll get your information, everything like that. So thank you so much for participating to all of you. If we get any other giveaways like that in the future, we'll let you know. So,
we'll watch them first, and then we'll send them to you.
Yeah. But I think it's about that time that we jump into our flesh and
Potatoes.
of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Face Off.
All right, so I think the only way that we can do this properly is probably to go in chronological order of when these movies came out.
Yeah.
So I think that's befitting. We give the honorary title to the original masterpiece known as the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So we're going to go ahead and kick it off with this one. It came out in 1974. The story is about two siblings visit their grandfather's grave in Texas along with three of their friends and are attacked by a family of cannibalistic psychopaths.
Oh my.
Yeah. So the original title, by the way, of this was called Leatherface, believe it or not. And then they changed it to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which everybody that was doing the movie when they were making it, they were calling it Leatherface.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And some of the guys like Daniel Pearl and Gunna Hansen were very upset about the fact that it got changed to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But I think it in the long run, I think it works out.
I think it has a better ring to it.
Right. It's kind of like, Friday the 13th. Like, we know it's Jason, but it's Friday the 13th.
Right.
Or Nightmare on Elm Street. We know it's Freddy, but at least you can kind of spawn those off into two.
Right.
It was directed by Toby Hooper, who also did some of the music, actually, in this, and the writing. So he was a writer in that.
Well, wasn't so much music.
Well,
as it
he
was,
did some of the sound engineering for the movie.
Yes, there we go. It sounds better.
It was also written by Kim Henkel, and as I mentioned before, Daniel Pearl did the cinematography, who did a really good job, actually.
Oh, really?
He was like
fucking
23 years old when he did this movie.
good. There was just some amazing shots in here.
Right. Some of the starring roles, you have Marilyn Burns, who played Sally. She was in Eaten Alive and Helter Skelter. She was also did some bit parts in two of the other Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies, Next Generation, and the 2013 3D one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she just as an extra.
The Next Generation one, that was the one with what's
Matthew McConaughey.
Matthew McConaughey.
Where he had the weird mechanical leg.
Yeah, with the remote that he could never get it to work right.
Dude, I remember when he stomped on her head.
Oh, yeah.
And she squealed or whatever. Ah! Like, I was like, Jesus. But unfortunately, Marilyn Burns actually passed away August 5th, 2014, so just about 3 years ago. It also starred Paul A. Partain, who played Franklin, who was the guy in the wheelchair. Also, he did a bit part in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Next Generation as well,
Right.
which came out in 1994, if you guys aren't familiar. And he also did a movie called Race with the Devil that came out in 1975. So, also another actor was William Val, who played Kirk, who has always actually been kind of like a set decorator after his career as an actor, which is weird because I didn't think he was that bad.
Yeah.
He did a few bit parts in Poltergeist and Mausoleum as well. Edwin Neal, who was the hitchhiker guy, he was in movies like Future Kill, 1985. He did a lot of voice work in a lot of anime later on. He did Black Lion, Ninja Resurrection TV show, the Jubi Yagu series.
Oh, yeah?
The TV show, yeah.
Wow.
For Ninja Scrolls, basically. He also was in the movie My Boyfriend's Back from 1993, but lots of anime and lots of video game work. So he was the crazy guy that cut Franklin in the car, or in the van. Jim Seidel, who plays the old man, who is technically the brother, but everybody considers him to be the father.
Right.
Because he looks like he's really old.
He's older, yeah.
Yeah. He came back for part 2, and then he passed away, actually, November 20th of 2003. Thought he did a really good job, though. And of course, last but definitely not least, Gunna Hansen, who epitomized what Leatherface would become for the rest of the franchise. He basically created him. He was also in Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers, Campfire Tales, Mosquito, Freak Show, Hatred of a Minute. He was also in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D as like a guy named Sawyer, just as a bit part. He passed away November 7th, 2015. So not too long ago, which is kind of sad.
Yeah.
This movie came out technically on October 1st, 1974, and it actually had a budget of just under $300,000, which is kind of high for back then, but not really. Most movies nowadays are like, yeah, you need at least $20 million to make, $20 million to make a AAA, like, major movie,
Right.
you know.
Well, they definitely made their money back.
Yeah, over $30.8 million at the
Right.
box office. So they did really well for this movie. It was one of the most successful horror movies of all time for, you know, the amount of money they spent on it, you know. It's pretty much like Blair Witch or something.
Right.
You know, like something like that. Although that's probably made a lot more, technically.
Probably.
But the times have changed. This isn't like 1974, so... What did you think about the movie?
Oh, dude, it's just a classic. And rewatching it, you just realize why. You know, it's like, because I haven't seen it in probably about 8 years.
Really? It's been a while for me,
a long
too.
time, yeah. And then I watched it, I was like, oh, wow. Everything. Especially like you were saying, the sound design, dude. Amazing.
Yeah, they did some pretty cool different things with it, yeah.
I love that sound, yeah.
But they made it sound like the flash bulb.
Right.
I think it was amazing, though. I mean,
yeah.
They practically had no gore, so it wasn't like this over-the-top, gory, fucking scary fucking movie. It was just scary, and it was violent and fucking raw.
Yep.
In your face, fucking, it showed horror movies that you could be fucking nutso with this shit. And I think they did a really good job. You know, even rewatching it now, it's like, man, I don't know why I haven't watched this in as long as I have. Like, I
Right.
feel kind of like what am I thinking?
Like we cheated on the movie. Or like
I think I've just always been kind of like a or Nightmare on Elm Street fan.
Right.
And I always liked the creativity of it, and I kind of grew up in the 80s and stuff like that, so I kind of probably missed the whole full, Texas Chainsaw Massacre feel. Because when that movie came out, it's fucking scared people.
Yeah, people walked out during the fucking viewing of it.
It was violent as fuck, man.
Right.
I can't even, just the first time you see Leatherface and he slaps that guy on the head and he starts shaking like that, people didn't know what that was even.
Right.
Because they never showed it in a movie, dude.
Right.
They never showed the fact that, a piece of the brain can be punctured by the skull and cause your body to go into convulsions. So people didn't know that. That's like how old this is. Like, that's how brutal it was for some people.
Right.
So they didn't really realize what that was all about. I think it's a really good movie, man. It definitely is up there with all the classics.
And rightfully so.
Yeah, like Night of the Living Dead. I mean, it has its place. It did stuff with film that nobody had ever seen like that before. That was like pure unbridled violence. And there was hardly any blood. That just blows me away. That there's they were joking about it in the commentary. They're like, oh, I think it was 2 ounces.
Right.
Because like one of the most graphic scenes is when Franklin gets cut the fuck up, and there's literally a guy just flicking blood
on his face,
on his face for the cup, and then he just eventually threw the cup. What the fuck?
I simply like it just because it's. I don't want to disrespect the movie, but it's simple.
No, I think that's right.
It's very simplistic. It's very artsy. When you look at some of these shots this guy put together, it's very, I don't know, it just got a feel to it.
Daniel Pearl,
God, you're a genius with some of these shots, dude. I'm jerking you off right now, but seriously, dude. I think I really just, and the characters, I don't think they could have found a better cast.
I don't know if that's where I thought that the conversations and the dialogue was a little spotty.
A little spotty.
Yeah, I don't think it was
But I just love how they bring stuff around. Like when they pick up the hitchhiker freaks them the fuck out, and he asks him to come to dinner.
Oh yeah.
And he's like,
Ed Neal.
Right, and he's like, they're like, no, we were in a hurry. And then later on, he comes home and finds out that they got one of the bitches in the house, and he's like, I thought you were in a hurry. Love that scene.
Yeah.
I just love how they bring it back, and he's... anyways, it's a great movie, great cinematography, and most importantly, the sound design is on point.
Okay. I just think it's so raw.
Yeah.
I don't think people were expecting that kind of movie, and then it freaked people out. That whole scene where fucking, like I said, when you first see Leatherface, the guy walks in, just suddenly the door opens, or he pops out, smacks him in the head, and then slams that fucking door shut, slides it shut.
It's probably one of the most iconic scenes from the movie.
He is so angry when he shuts that fucking door, dude. It's like, whoa. And it was I don't know, man. As a kid, seeing someone shaking on the ground like that was kind of frightening.
Yeah.
What is happening? I don't understand the world now. Something. Why am I pissing in my mouth? I'm just kidding. I shouldn't say that. Part of the influence of this movie, first of all, guys, was definitely influenced by Ed Gein. The funny thing is that Tobe Hooper did not know the name of the guy that he grew up listening to these stories in Wisconsin, apparently. He said that he had heard stories about guys turning people's skin into lampshades and nipple belts and weird shit like that.
Which is funny though, because Ed Gein, or Ed Gaines, however you want to say it, only killed 2 people.
Oh yeah, because he dug up a lot of corpses and shit.
Yeah, it was a lot of corpses, and then there was a girl who came over his house he was infatuated with. Mm-hmm. And that led to a cop coming over because, I can't remember the full story, but he killed the cop and the girl.
Well, there was a lot of stories around those parts back in the day.
Right,
and he remembered those parts, but didn't know the guy's name. As he got older, he just remembered hearing these stories. And he said that it was one of the reasons that kind of inspired this whole movie and why it started it. So that's, thanks to some crazy murderer guy, I guess. But... it's funny. You said that, I remember off the mic, you said that you loved Franklin's character, the guy in the wheelchair.
Oh, he's one of my favorite people in the movie.
Okay. Why do you like him?
I just like how he's kind of condescending, he's kind of a jerk, but he's lighthearted and funny at the same time. Probably one of my favorite scenes, so you don't have to come to me for this one, but I'm going to mention it right now.
No, what? No! We're not doing favorite scenes yet.
But no, I really like his dialogue. I like his persona. He was an enjoyable character for me.
Right.
It's when he's left downstairs by himself.
Oh, and he's spitting his tongue?
Yeah.
Well, supposedly he was mentally handicapped.
Well, it didn't seem like he was mentally handicapped.
Supposedly he was, though.
Really?
Like, he was supposed to be.
He didn't come off.
But this
that
is
way.
like in the 70s, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like, I don't know.
I mean, he was in a wheelchair, but he didn't act like he was mentally handicapped.
Well, apparently, Toby Hooper said that Franklin, the guy who played the actor, Paul A. Partain, was like really annoying. Like behind the camera, like behind off camera, I guess. I was listening to the commentary on the 40th, or well, it's an old commentary from one of the other DVDs. But he was like, he said that Franklin, the actor, was whining a lot on the set, and he couldn't wait for him to die because then he would leave the set.
Which is funny because he was like one of the probably the last character to die.
Well, I mean, when they shot this movie, it was in the dead of summer.
Right.
Like in the middle of it, like in the thick of summer. So everybody was really hot and sweaty.
Oh, dude. Oh, yeah.
And just like ridiculously like uncomfortable. So that just raises your elevation of your anger and temperament.
When I was searching through the trivia, I remember reading something about this guy. Oh, I think he was part of the film crew who said it was the worst experience of his life.
Really?
And he'd been to been to Nam.
Really?
I think it was. Yeah, and I was like, that's a statement. Like,
why? What did he say was bad about it?
He just said it was just bad because apparently where they're shooting, they had lots of old rotten meat and shit like that.
Yeah, they actually hung. Or no, they did that in the remake as well.
Right, but he said it was just the smell and the heat. It was just god awful.
Well, I'd heard that one of the production guys was like, had found like a dead cow, and they were like trying to load it up on a truck or something like that.
What?
So that they could use it in the movie.
Really?
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, it was pretty bad. I don't know. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, it's like, we got to use this.
Apparently, but like I'm listening to this commentary though, and the guy who played Franklin, they were kind of like making fun of him the whole fucking time. I mean, I know it's like in a jovial, fun way.
Right.
But like you could tell that it was like, man, that was not a good experience for a lot of people. Also, something to point out in the opening of the movie, even John Larroquette was the voice, and he was like, "You need to sound like Orson Welles." And he was like, okay. And then he did it, and he was like, of course, it sounded like John Larroquette.
Right.
But I couldn't do anything, so I just told him to keep going.
Oh, that's funny.
And so they recorded that part, and it was like so iconic.
Yeah.
Right. It just, like, that voice it's iconic, man.
Oh, yeah. And I heard that, like, he did all that for a joint.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. You said that.
You're like, you get paid in a joint? Like, okay, dude.
That's
like,
funny. They were all smoking.
Right. They all had to be, to deal with that kind of shit, I would be.
Toby's hopping a hooper, man. I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. Gunna Hansen actually almost passed out and died from heat exhaustion.
Oh, it gets fucking hot in Texas. You ever been out
dude,
there?
Well, and he was wearing that
summer?
fucking mask, man.
Oh, dude, yeah, I can only imagine.
And like he was like delirious, and he didn't know where he was or what he was doing, and someone actually had to help him and like give him water and shit like that because they were working long hours.
Right. Was it Toby Hooper that also played the old guy and the father?
No, there was some 18-year-old kid that did the old man.
Okay, yeah, I heard it was.
Sorry, I was getting confused with a lot of people thought Franklin was one of the guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I heard the guy that was in the old age makeup said he wasn't going to do it more than once.
Yeah. When they were doing the makeup, it took like 10 hours.
Right.
To put the makeup on because they were turning an 18-year-old into an old man.
Yeah.
So after 10 hours of him putting up with that, they were like, well, we're going to have to do this tomorrow. And he was like, no.
We're going to shoot all my scenes.
Yeah, we're going to shoot all my scenes. And then they even had to cut some of his scenes from the script because they didn't have him anymore.
Right.
So they were like, fuck, what do we do? So they shot for 27 hours straight, dude.
Oh, man.
27 fucking hours during that whole dinner scene and everything.
Yeah.
And people were literally losing it. Like, no joke. They were getting delirious. Gunnar Hansen was even saying that some actors try to do method, and he was like, he's like, I had to not be method with this guy because even in that whole scene in the dinner and everything, I started losing it.
Yeah.
Because he was like, you should kill her or something like that or whatever. And then he started thinking about it, like, because he was just so losing his mind because they were working so long hours. And they were so tired and angry and frustrated. So it was interesting, like, to hear that. That whole fucking scene was pretty crazy.
Oh, yeah.
speaking of Franklin again, just to bring this back up, as another thing that they brought up, do you know the part where Franklin's like got the sausage in his mouth?
Yeah.
So they were sitting there laughing about this in the commentary. It was so funny, dude. I was cracking up. Some of the commentary in the old commentary for the fucking movie is fucking great, dude.
Yeah.
They were like talking about, oh yeah, that was a sausage in his mouth. And he was like, well, it could be something else too. But he was like, are we even allowed to say stuff like that? He was like, yeah, fuck it. He's like, yeah, dick. He had a dick in his mouth. I was cracking up, dude. I was like, God damn, dude. They really got it out for this guy, man.
Oh, he must have been super annoying.
Yeah. And the funny thing is that when they were doing the process of, like, hiring people and, like, trying to get them to act and cast in this roles, they were all sitting back there and they had Gunna Hansen come in. He wasn't sure he was going to get the job, but he kept bugging them, I guess. And then they hit him back and they were like, yeah, come on back in. And he walked through the door and they were like, are you crazy? And he was like, no. It was like, are you insane? It was like, no. It's like, but I can if you want me to. And then they signed the papers, and he was like, pointed at Gunnar Hansen, Toby did, and he was like, I knew I wanted you from the minute you walked through that door frame and covered the entire door frame. He was like, I wanted you immediately. And it was like, Gunnar Hansen was like, great, I guess all kinds of talent just went out the door just based on my looks, you know?
Right.
But I don't know. I thought that was really funny. Did you know that he had, like, Leatherface actually had 3 masks in the film?
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, I knew he had 2 at least, because one was the mother mask, and then he had
The grandma mask.
Right.
Well, there was the grandma mask where he was, like, cooking, and it was like...
Right.
And then they're sitting at the dinner table, and he's wearing that black wig.
Which is the mother mask.
Yeah, where he puts on the makeup and shit on it. There was actually a scene that they cut out where he was applying more makeup.
Oh, really?
So it was like getting progressively worse as the dinner went on. But then there was the original traditional mask that he wears in the very beginning.
Right. I heard he was actually supposed to have some actual speaking lines, or not so much speaking lines, but somewhat.
Well, Gunnar Hansen or Toby, I can't remember, was saying that supposedly like the character Leatherface was like empty inside. He was like void of personality. So he put on these masks to have a personality.
Right.
Which is kind of almost like what Rob Zombie stole from Texas Chain Saw Massacre to put on Michael, in a way.
Yeah. Where the different masks he would make.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, that just shows you his love for Texas Chain Saw Massacre. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like Rob Zombie.
It's one of those magic things that doesn't happen so often. You know what I mean? In filmmaking. And everybody just tries to copy it, and they can't recreate that magic.
Yeah. There was a lot of things that fell into place. There was people that quit the job that were there and just, like, couldn't stand it and were like, fuck this, you know, it's so fucking
Right.
hot. Like, I can't fucking handle this. So they just left, you know. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of turmoil,
Oh, yeah.
you know, behind the scenes. I mean, there is here, so why wouldn't there be there, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Especially when you're in the hot fucking soaking sun. You know the scene where Leatherface drops the saw on his leg?
Yeah.
And he cuts his leg open. It's like this big deal, you know? Whoa!
Which is probably the only second part of gore that we've seen in this movie.
Do you know they used a real chainsaw?
In that whole movie? No shit.
In the whole movie, a lot. Yeah, they were legitimately cutting through doors, through trees, and all kinds of shit with that fucking saw, man.
Wow.
Like, it was, like, legit. There was no safety going on there. Not like they should have, you know?
Right.
There was even a scene where Gunnar Hansen was saying that he couldn't see out of the mask very well, and he fell back and threw the fucking chainsaw up in the air, and it landed by his head.
Oh, shit.
It scared the shit out of him.
Yeah, I bet, dude.
You know, like, that's some crazy shit, man. But the leg scene where he cuts his leg open, all they did is they put a really thick piece of metal, like a metal plate,
Underneath his leg.
under his leg, his
Yeah.
pant leg, and it heated up so hot from the saw hitting it that he thought he actually got hit, like he actually cut his leg.
Oh, shit.
So when he's like grabbing his leg like that,
He really thinks he's like...
he really thought he was hurt.
Oh, wow.
So he just kind of like got up and like was dedicated, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I thought that was kind of interesting. You've been talking about all the sound recording in the movie. Mm-hmm. Do you know who actually worked on it?
No, who?
You know a little movie by the name of TerrorVision?
No shit.
The director, Ted Nicolau, actually was did sound recording.
Wow.
for the movie.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, and in the commentary there was like, it was Daniel Pearl, Gunnar Hansen, and Toby Hooper in the old one. This is in the 40th anniversary edition. And then fast forward to future, like I think it came out in 2014, the 40th anniversary one. They did, it was Daniel Pearl, Toby Hooper, and Ted Nicolau.
Wow, cool.
So I didn't get to listen to that one. I thought it was kind of cool.
Oh, yeah, for sure, dude. I'd actually like to watch that and listen to what he had to say.
Yeah, I was watching it with Christina, and she was laughing with me. It was pretty funny, man. Like, just the old one.
Yeah.
The old one was really good, man. I figured if I'm going to listen to one of the two commentaries, I'm going to listen to the one with Gunnar Hansen, man.
Yeah.
Like 100%.
Yeah. I mean, why would you listen to anything else?
Right? But now we can talk about our favorite scenes, Patrick.
All
Even though
right.
you've already divulged some, I've already divulged some.
Well, of course, one of everybody's favorite scene. I mean, we've already divulged this, but it's definitely the iconic guy getting whacked in the head with a mallet. I mean,
That is probably by far the best scene in the whole fucking movie.
yeah, exactly. And if it's not your favorite scene, I don't know what fucking movie you're watching. I just don't.
Well, I don't know. You got to remember, like, I always think it's funny when I see, like, people who are like, so I finally saw the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Pfft, wasn't even cool, man. Like, I'm like, yeah, you edgelord, you fuck butt. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, no shit. You've watched, like, 70 movies that have tried to rip it off.
Right.
And mimic it. Like, that was the one that started
the template
it,
right there.
Yeah.
That's the original.
Like, of course you're not going to like it. So you have to appreciate it, though, for what it is.
Right.
Like, it's what started it all, you know? Like,
And I think people who say shit like that look past all the stuff that you may see, like the cinematography and the music
yeah.
and the character development. People are like, oh, it wasn't a lot of blood, man. I don't know why.
Yeah, that too. But, they did the remake, which tried to go overboard, and we'll talk about what people thought of that
Right.
after this. But, yeah, I agree. I don't know. I just think it's a way better movie than I have given it credit over these years. It wasn't one of the ones that impacted me the most at first. I think I saw some other movies that kind of surpassed it in some ways, like edgelord wise, like
Right.
sort of like it went further.
Yeah.
So it wasn't as shocking to me because I was kind of late to the game a little bit. But that's nostalgia, but I still really appreciate it. It still holds up to today.
Oh, yeah.
The amount
Yeah.
of like panic and screaming and like just putting myself in that time frame where it was like, whoa, this is fucking dark.
Right.
It
was really fucking dark. But I think one of my favorite scenes, besides the Franklin one, was the scene where the girl finally thinks that she got to safety, and she happens upon that shack somewhere out in the woods, or out in the thickets, or what you want to call it, and it's the guy who owned the gas station.
Oh, the Sideow?
Sideow.
No, yeah, Jim Sideow.
Right. He goes out to get his truck, and she's kind of sitting there looking around, and then she sees like all the human body parts like roasting in the fucking smoker.
Oh, after she freaked out?
Right. And then he puts her in a bag and takes her in a truck. The cinematography, everything, when he's driving back to the fucking house with her in the fucking sack and just poking her with the broomstick.
Yeah.
It's a really great scene.
And right before that too, he's like puts the bag on her and like hits her with the broomstick and everything, puts her in the car, and then he's like, oh shit, I left the light on.
Like, that's the least of your worries.
And then he's like, yeah, I gotta, every dollar counts when you're trying to make a buck, like, what? But they were talking about that in the behind the scenes stuff, or the commentary. They were saying that like this was during a time when it was like a very capitalistic thing to think about, like, is your business, but it was just trying to normalize, I think, how normal this shit was for them.
Right, like it's so mundane.
Right, like they didn't care. It wasn't like it was like, oh fuck, I just caught a hamburger at the store. Like, no big deal, like.
My family comes from meat.
Yeah. I would say, do you remember all the headlights? Like the headlight scene? There was a lot of headlight scenes. Do you remember those?
Yeah. Like, which scene in particular are you talking about?
Do you remember, like, there was one where there was, like, Franklin and her sister right in front of the car?
Yeah.
There was, like, a pair of headlights, and then there was another pair of headlights.
No, I didn't notice the second pair. Oh! Right over my head.
Do you know what I'm talking about now?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about now.
God, dude, that girl, I don't know what it was, but it was so hot out. But man, like it wasn't like I was looking for it, but it was just like.
Your titty girl.
Yeah, her nipples were poking through her shirt like the whole fucking movie, man. I don't know why. I just thought it would be funny to make a joke. Now I feel sad. I actually
Shad Panda.
I brought it up with Christina before I told you. So.
I like that joke. It went right over my fucking head, though.
Intentionally trying to make it stupid, but
Right.
the whole grandpa dinner hammer scene.
Oh, where he tries to hold on to the hammer and hit her in the
Yeah,
head.
and they keep trying to like hit her in the head, and it's like everybody's like there trying to fucking attack her, and like you're like, what is she gonna do? It was such a long part, and it was just like, what's gonna happen next? And then she breaks free,
Yeah.
and then goes upstairs, I think, and then jumps out the window. I thought that was kind of cool. She just jumped out like,
Right.
whee!
Yeah, that's going to work out.
It was a
very well.
stunt double.
You got right. Which, didn't she end up getting hurt, too? Like, she cut
Yo,
herself pretty
dude,
bad.
remember the scene you were talking about when she goes to the gas station and she's freaking out and she sees the meat,
Right.
the human meat, basically.
Uh-huh.
She actually busted up her knees really bad. She was like bleeding.
Oh, yeah.
and-
I remember reading about that now.
Yeah.
All that blood that was on her is actually, it was not set blood.
no, that was
That's
real
her
shit.
blood,
Like she
yeah.
really ripped her pants, falling down and acting. They like put her through hell, man.
Which is cool because it worked out for the best in the end run. Right?
Yeah, they said that on one of the days where they were running through the forest, it was like a 70-foot stretch of woods, and they set up about 30, 40 feet of like dolly track so that they could do different shots, and they would shoot on the left side of the track or the right side of the track, or
Right.
like to make it look cool. So they were running through the woods, but it was like really not that long, but they made it seem a lot longer than it was. And she said that after she was running that whole fucking day and like being chased by Gunnar Hansen, it was like really tiring. So they like
bet.
lost her for like a day because she was like, that was just so much, man.
Right. I actually read that Leatherface, Gunnar Hansen, had to slow himself down.
Right.
Because she was just not running fast enough.
Yeah, she really had to. Well, he had to like kind of do some like cool chainsaw moves.
Yeah, like hack up a tree while she's chasing it.
Yeah,
and stuff
just
like
to
that.
kind of fill in the gap a little bit because
Right.
she needed to get away. But yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. So, but yeah, but those are all really great. The spinning scene. And there's a bunch of different scenes. Like the hook thing is fucking amazing. Like, how can you forget the hook?
Right.
He puts the dude on a hook or the chick on a hook. Mm-hmm. That was the second one. That was the one. The remake was the guy.
Right.
So I was getting confused.
I think another one of my favorite scenes, which is not gory by any means, but it's one of those cinematography scenes where it's just like, wow, that's really beautiful, is when they tell a little brother to go upstairs to get Grandpa. And you see her sitting in the chair, and it goes to this above shot where it's looking down on a skeleton and her at the same time. You remember that shot?
Yeah.
It's just such a beautiful shot, dude. And
Yeah, that was kind of cool. I think they said that they bought one skeleton from India
Oh, yeah.
to do that shot. Like, no
Really?
joke, yeah.
That's great.
You know, it's funny. It always makes me think of the Return of the Living Dead, where they're in the fucking You Need a Supply fucking warehouse.
Oh, with the can of zombies.
And he was
right?
like, these are all skeletons. He was like, real skeletons? You know, he's like, yeah, perfect teeth stands for perfect teeth. They all come in from India. I know they must have these skeleton castles or whatever the fuck. You know, it just always reminds me of that because that's a legit thing. You have to get
Right.
skeletons from India. So,
That's crazy.
I don't know. It's just kind of a weird
Yeah, it's weird little
tidbit of
nugget of
information.
knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like this movie. I'm really glad we got to watch it. Makes me want to watch like part 2, like all
Oh,
of the
dude,
movies
it makes me want
now.
to watch. It's going to shoot up just like the Jason collection did now. I'm going to go look for the collection online.
Right.
It's going to be like $150, $200.
Well, I definitely need to get part 2. Scream Factory put that out, so I want to
yeah.
get that. That's not the only movie we watched now, is it?
No, we also watched the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
For the
Face off!
Get your face ready.
Yeah, but this one came out in 2003. It was a remake. The story is a little different than the first one. They changed it up a little bit.
It's like in an alternate universe.
Well, it's a little, yeah, it's maybe like something
Well, it's the same, but not really.
smaller, different thing.
Right.
It's basically, after picking up a traumatized young hitchhiker, 5 friends who were headed on a trip to see Leonard Skinnerd from Mexico, I guess, too. They went to Mexico or something.
Right.
They find themselves stalked and hunted by a deformed chainsaw-wielding killer and his family of equally psychopathic killers. Sounds weird.
Yeah.
This was directed by Marcus Nispel, who actually used to make a ton of fucking music videos.
Dude, his Greedy Fly video for Bush, like the first time I saw that, I'm like, is this a fucking Marilyn Manson video?
Right,
Like, what
yeah.
the fuck?
I don't even remember that song, but we watched the video.
Right.
So it was kind of interesting to see. He did stuff for like Faith No More, Amy Grant, George Michael, CNC Music Factory, tons of hip hop, all kinds of shit. And that's actually where he met Michael Bay, because Michael Bay was doing that shit too.
Right.
And actually, Marcus Nispel actually started off in advertising. Some people would want their ads to look like a music video, so he would do it like a music video. And then some people who wanted to do a music video wanted to make it look like a commercial, or you know what I mean? So
right.
He was just like in that for a long, long, long time. He did a lot of fucking videos. Plus, he also directed the Friday the 13th remake in 2009. Conan the Barbarian remake. He's like on a slew of remakes here, and he did quite a few others, but this was basically his directorial debut.
Okay.
So I guess he had been friends with Michael Bay, and then they sort of kind of worked well together, because honestly, when you're doing these music videos, you're doing on a very small budget, and you're doing it for fucking nothing. Yeah. And it's just like, you got to do guerrilla style fucking filmmaking. Yeah. You got to do it the best you can, and they only had about $9.3 million to make a movie.
No shit.
Yeah.
I think it didn't make that much of a profit though, did it?
Well, we'll talk about that. It actually ended up making $107.1 million off that $9.5 million that they got a budget for. Right. It was also written by Scott Kosar, who wrote the remake for The Crazies, which I actually liked.
Yeah, it was really good.
He also did the Amityville Horror remake,
which is also still pretty good.
It's not bad. Ryan Reynolds,
I think, is what really saves that film.
I thought it was good. I mean, I liked the movie. I don't think it's like the original. No. But I still enjoy it. Like, I don't know why.
You can really just see the change happen to him.
It wasn't as scary to me.
Right.
But the change that he goes through was pretty crazy. Daniel Pearl actually returns for the cinematographer for this remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They got special makeup effects. Scott Stoddard, he did the mask, and he would apply it to the guy who played him. Andrew Brynjarski, who was Leatherface, obviously. Right. But he did the Leatherface mask for that. Grady Holder. It said that Greg Nicotero was involved in this, but I didn't see anything about that in the thing. So I don't know if it was just part of his KMB effects team. Yeah. That, like, did that. But, like, they showed any of the making of featurette or whatever, like, that was like an hour long. They showed nothing of Greg Nicotero.
And he's not a hard guy to miss either.
Yeah, and I don't know if that just means that, like, IMDb's fucked, or like what I don't know what's going on. Like, I'm so confused.
Get your shit together, internet.
Because it says Greg Nicotero, Rocky Gare, Gary D. Barrand, but all I heard about was Grady Holder and Scott Stoddard. So I don't know. They also had John Larroquette return for the narration, because they tried like so many different other voices and they just couldn't figure it out. Right. They were like, it's just got to be John Larroquette, I guess.
He's still alive. Why not?
Yeah.
Let's see if we could get him with a joint again.
Right, yeah. I think he wanted a lot more this time, and I don't blame him. It starred a lot of people who were kind of up and coming and kind of big names. Jessica Biel, who was trying to break out of her, like, Disney-esque sort of,
what was that show, Seventh Heaven? Or was
yeah, she was in
Dawson's
Seventh Heaven.
Creek?
Yeah,
okay.
She was in Seventh Heaven.
All right.
She was trying to break out of that, though. Right. So she was, like, all about it. She was like, yeah, I'll fucking go in a fucking horror movie. Like, I'm not a fucking Disney character or anything, you know, like, fuck this shit. Eric Balfour, who was in 6 Feet Under and Skyline. Jonathan Tucker was in this movie. He did The Ruins. He was in the Pulse remake, for the Japanese remake of Pulse.
Oh, it was the Ghost one, right? Where
yeah, it was like in dealing with like computers or some shit like that.
Right.
But he was essentially who played the Franklin part in a way, which is the weird character sort of guy. Right. And he was even sitting in that chair, the same chair that, or in the same spot in the van that Franklin was in the original movie. So you think he's like crippled, like, and he's not able to walk, but then he just stands up suddenly after something happened. As I was like, what the fuck? I was like, that's not true.
What's this horse shit?
Yeah. Mike Vogel was in this movie, who you mentioned was in The Dome.
The Dome, yeah, Barbie.
Yeah, and he also was in Cloverfield as the love guy, guy. Erica Learson, she was in the Blair Witch 2, Book of the Shadows.
And Wrong Turn 2.
Yeah, she was in Wrong Turn 2 and Mischief Night. Lauren German, who was the girl who killed herself, basically. Spoiler alert. Ish. She was also in Hostel 2, and she's in that Lucifer TV show as well. So And one of my favorite character in the whole fucking thing, other than Leatherface, obviously, is R. Lee Ermey, who played Sheriff Hoyt, or supposedly the sheriff, and he was the guy that was in Full Metal Jacket.
Oh, he's so great.
Eat your goddamn donut. What's your name, son?
Private Pie.
Yeah.
I
Pile
can't
of
do his shit.
Dude, I'll go into more detail about him, but I love that he was in it. And then, of course, Andrew Binyarski, who played Leatherface. We already mentioned the box office totals and everything. What did you think about the movie, the remake?
You know what? I thought that they did a pretty phenomenal job. It didn't disgrace the name by any means. I think they kept it alive. They definitely made it for a new generation. A little bit more bloodier.
100%, yeah.
A little bit more grittier. Which you need to do. You can't just keep it like that. I really liked it. And like you said, they made it right choice bringing back that same cinematographer, because every shot is just perfection.
Yeah. And you know what's funny about that whole story is that Daniel Pearl was like, I'm never going to do a sequel for this.
Right. Until what's-his-name asked him, and he was like, yeah, sure.
Well, yeah, but the
I'll
funny
do it.
thing is that Daniel Pearl and the director Marcus Nispel were working together on a bunch of different other projects, and he was like, hey, I'm going to be doing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. You want to do it with me? And he was like, yeah, without even thinking about it. And he was like, wait a second, what did I just do? I told everybody I was never going to do this movie, but he was like, you know what? I work with him all the time, man. I got to do this movie.
Right.
So, but yeah, I think it was a good choice.
Oh, for sure. And that making of we watched, dude, it's probably the best making of I've seen in a while.
Really?
Oh, well,
I've seen way better than
maybe not
that.
the best, but like it was nice to see that from what you hear about the first one and it being absolute hell, and just
Right.
seeing these young kids just have fun doing this movie together.
Oh, it was hell for them too, man.
I'm sure it was hell, but it
was in
like,
Texas. It was in the middle of
right middle
summer
of
as
summer.
well.
But it seemed like they were all in good spirits throughout the shoot.
Yeah. Well, Marcus Nispel, he definitely likes to keep a very live, active cast,
Right.
so that they're really into what they're doing. I thought it was a pretty decent remake, and it was before all these like classic remakes came out.
Yeah, where it
was
started
like-
the train and
Yeah, it was like one of the first.
right.
And the funny thing is that I thought it was interesting. The reason that this movie even got started to begin with is because Michael Bay made a fucking teaser sort of thing that he was going to do that just had a black screen. You couldn't see anything. There was like nothing. And all you could hear is some girl rustling around, screaming and sounds like she's like trying to push stuff in front of the door. And then you just hear a male voice come up the stairs. And then there's silence for like 4 seconds. And then they bang on the door and everybody in the theater jumped. And then it just goes, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And she starts screaming, and then Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And they got $250,000 just for that.
Yeah, fuck yeah, dude.
So I don't know. I thought that was pretty
great.
crazy.
Yeah. And
then I think they got some more funding from other shit, or like their budget extended.
Right.
So I don't know. I think it's a noble attempt. I think it did a good job. It definitely tries to have the heart of the original, but
Yeah.
I don't know that it definitely has it. It's like almost seeing like.
It definitely doesn't spit in its face.
I think it was good.
Yeah.
I think I see it and I go, oh, Rob Zombie's like first film. Do you know what I mean? Like it kind of.
Hey, I really like
some of the
House of a Thousand
characters
Corpses,
are
too.
really good. You know, like I don't know, when did that come out?
House of 1,000 Corpses around the same time. I think it was more like 2004.
Yeah, it was probably before. But I don't know. It just felt like a Rob Zombie film. So maybe he was Nispel was biting off of him. You know, he might have been biting off of Rob Zombie to give it like that weird feel.
He could have been,
Because
dude.
Rob Zombie was biting off the original Chainsaw Massacre 1 and 2.
Right. And if Rob Zombie wants to do that, I'm not going to complain.
Nah, whatever. It's not for me to decide. I haven't made a fucking movie. So
Right.
fuck do I care? But I don't think it's a horrible remake. I think it's definitely one of the ones that kicked off a bunch of other remakes. Take it for better or worse. I mean, like whatever came out of that. There was some things in the movie that I thought they could have done without.
It came out the same year, actually.
Really?
Came out in 2003.
How weird. Just must have been the times.
Well, not only that.
Wait,
but if you
what?
remember,
How
House of Coward came out in 2003, but if you remember, he went through a bunch of fucking bullshit with the people who were helping put this movie out.
Okay. But I don't think they knew of each other in their thing that they were doing.
Right. I don't think
So
so.
I
either.
just think that it was the 2000s.
Yeah.
Like people were just going for that edge.
Yeah, you're probably right. It was probably the
You know, I don't think it was as
stylized of
edgy as like Rob Zombie's stuff, House of a Thousand Corpses.
Yeah.
But I feel like it was very similar in the characters that they chose.
Yeah.
You know, like they were very unique characters.
You're talking about like the
how they looked,
right?
No, like all the family.
The family.
Okay. Yeah, like
I
all
thought
of
you were
them.
talking about the kids because I was like
No,
kids.
fuck the kids. I'm talking about the fucking characters in the movie that were like part of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre family.
All right.
They were all very weird and unique.
Yeah.
Christina and I thought that kind of spoiler alert, there's a baby in the movie. The whole thing with the baby was unnecessary.
Well, I think it was the girl's baby who died in the opening scene.
Right. That's what I had heard. Yeah, I mean, or that's what I figured out, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I just think it was unnecessary. Like we had already found pictures and like photos.
I think it was just maybe just another cog in this machine just to kind of make her realize like, oh shit, this family's fucked up too. This is part of the same fucking people.
Right. Well, I mean, it was kind of cool when she went into the camper to run away from fucking
Leatherface,
and she's like, they're like, oh child, it's all right. Everything's all right.
Make you some tea.
I'll make you some. You want some tea? Here, drink your tea. You know, and then they were choosing between the younger girl and the bigger girl.
Right. And then they just said, fuck it, we're going to take them both.
They just took them both, and it worked out great, I think.
Yeah, they're great character actors.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think it was definitely going for more gore.
Yeah.
But it wasn't even that gory of a movie, like, when you think about it. Like, there's some gore in it, but I don't think it's, like, super gory.
I would say, I think of it kind of stayed in the same vein as the original as far as gore goes, but maybe pushed it a little bit further.
Right.
But yeah, there wasn't like gobs of blood everywhere. But
in the first one, there was not a lot of blood at all.
Right.
So I mean, like this one was like, let's amp it up, like let's kick everybody in the fucking face with it. And some people were kind of turned off by it because the simplicity of the first one was so impressive that they didn't have to do all of that in order to scare people. They were just able to just fucking come out the gate like a fucking demon.
Right. Well, with a unique idea like that, I mean,
I don't think he's wrong for choosing to make it gory. I'm just saying that I think that's why people got upset.
Probably.
I'm fine with the gore. I didn't really care.
Yeah, me either.
They even cut a lot.
As long as you don't make it like a snuff film, I don't care.
Yeah, it's funny too because when they sent in the first cuts and everything like that, they had preemptively trimmed a lot of the stuff because they thought that it wouldn't pass for the board, ratings board. Yeah. And so he was like he said, he was like, I was kind of young and naive. I didn't really know that they were going to be more accepting of the stuff that I put in because they actually didn't need to remove it.
Oh, wow.
A lot of that. Some of it they did need to, some of it they didn't, but they could have kept it in. R. Lee Ermey was fucking on point, dude.
Phenomenal, dude.
Did you know that he made up most of the lines in that movie?
He fucking right off the top of his head, dude.
I thought that was fucking awesome. They like rewrote the script just so he could kind of do it, but he's just got this sort of swagger about his crazy that's so fucking good in this movie.
He just keeps like turning the dial up and up and up.
I mean,
he says he'll do that until the director tells him to stop.
Yeah.
And he says not one director has ever told him it was too much.
Well, I think he was supposed to replace Jim Sidow's character.
Right.
The old man, technically. Or not the old man, but the brother.
The brother, or pretty much the head of the family.
He was the one that was the cook. He was the cook in the original one.
Right.
He was supposed to replace him. And the thing that was good about him, Jim Sidow versus R. Lee Ermey, was that Jim was more like he was kind of like, they called him benign. Like everything about him was very benign, but he could switch into this dark character really quick. Whereas R. Lee Ermey was more of a dick right off the fucking bat. But it kind of worked for that film.
Yeah.
And I really loved him in that part.
Oh,
there's so many good parts
scenes
with him in it. Like all of the best parts are really with him.
Yep.
I really think so. Like,
no, I totally agree.
I don't think that movie would have been anywhere near as decent as it is without him.
Right.
But, some people didn't like that switch, where he was just a dick right off the bat. But it was really uncomfortable, and I thought that was kind of unique and interesting that he kind of did that.
Yeah.
He just got into the character so well. Like, just making people, like... I think one of the scenes... And this is a minor thing. But he's like, you mind getting the fuck out of my way?
Oh, yeah, when he's going into the van.
Excuse me, sir. You mind getting the fuck out of my way?
Yeah, you busted up laughing hardcore with that kid.
And then he's like, "Oh, I used to wrap these up when I was in my young patrolman days. Wrap some of these honeys up myself. Sometimes I catch a feel." "Oh, she's wet down here. What have you boys been doing with this corpse?" Like, what the fuck, dude?
Oh, man.
So, I mean, like, it may not be the original, but I think it's okay.
Yeah, no, it definitely has its own place. It's not better than the original by any means. I'm not saying that, but it is a good movie, and it's hard to believe that Michael Bay's name is attached to it.
Right.
Sorry, Michael Bay, but you ruined fucking Transformers for me. So suck a dick.
I mean, I don't hate Michael Bay, but yeah, it's like explosions and, you know, like everybody always makes that assumption about him, you know what I mean? But he just still churns out money, man.
Yeah.
He shits gold bars, dude. Like, he's the golden goose.
Yep.
Like, no matter what you say, he's going to keep on pumping out movies until nobody wants to buy him anymore. And obviously you motherfuckers are going to watch it anyway. But this was a little bit before like Transformers and shit like that got too big, right?
Yeah, because I want to say Transformers.
No, it was big because I was only here. I think it was like 2001.
What year did Transformers come out? Because that's a good question. 2007.
So yeah, this is before he got ultra big.
On that remake dick.
Yeah, but either way, I don't want to just hate the man for everything. You know what I mean?
No.
Like I enjoyed the first Transformers. I
did
had no
too.
problem with it at all.
I had no problem with the first Transformers.
Okay, well then we'll just leave it at that. In order to make the sets and everything like that, they had to like find a house and a location. The locations were at two or three different places actually, across the state, and two of them were in cotton gins.
Right.
The house that they found had so much black mold. It was like hadn't been lived in decades. The one with the pillars.
Yeah. They had to go in and actually seal everything, right?
Yeah, well, no, they actually had to get somebody in to treat the fucking mold, to kill it.
Right.
And then they loved the look of the mold, so they just like sprayed over plastic over it to kind of keep the look.
Yeah, the sealant or whatever they
Yeah,
used.
because everything was all ratty and fucked up. Like, so they kept it because they were like, this is perfect. Like,
It's better than the set design could have done.
right, exactly. It saved them money, I bet.
Yeah.
I thought it was really kind of interesting. Do you remember the slaughterhouse scene
Yes.
where Jessica Biel's character is like hiding in the...
And the big slab of beef.
Yeah, in the big slab of beef, exactly. Did you know that they had the cow corpses that were real? They weren't fake.
Right.
They were all fake, or they were all real. They had to use a real meat packing plant in order to shoot that scene. And if you notice in the film, guys, everyone that's listening, they put plastic over everything except for her piece. And that was the slab that the movie people bought
Right.
so that she could hide in it. But here's the kicker. She's a vegetarian. So she's fucking petrified of this shit. Like, she said she would rather see dangling
Dead bodies, yeah.
human bodies than to fucking hide inside of a carcass of a dead animal. So she was like tripped out, but she did it anyway because she's a trooper.
Right.
And she had to break out of her Disney phase.
Which was an amazing scene. I love it when he cuts through that slab of beef.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Did you know that Jessica Biel's like with Justin Timberlake?
Is she?
That's his wife.
Oh, way to go, fucking... I'm going to say Jessica Biel because you got the better,
I don't know. You talk. I'm not.
I'm just saying that.
Are you like catching
Jessica Biel?
Are you catching yourself because you're worried Kelly's going to listen? Is that what it is?
No. I'm saying she got the better deal because Justin Timberlake can get whatever the fuck he wants.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. Maybe she does something like in business we don't know about.
Oh, I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know.
Don't make shit up.
I'm not making shit up.
You know, Mike Vogel, the blonde hair guy who played kind of the dick.
Yeah.
He was during the scene where they put him up on the hook that I was mentioning a little bit earlier. He had to be in a harness for 5 hours, guys. 5 fucking hours.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, dude.
And then it's so bad that they said that they wanted to take him down, right?
Yeah, it was like chafing him and hurting him, and he was in like a lot of pain while he was hanging there for 5 hours. And they were like, "Do you want to get down? You want to get down? We'll take you down right now." And he was like, "If you take me down, I'm not going to get back up."
Right. I would have been the same way. Like, just fucking shoot it. We're in it. Let's do it.
Yeah, just get it over with, guys. Like, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. Like, you're cutting your hair? What are you fucking doing? Like, I would have been mad. But yeah.
You send that makeup lady over here one more fucking time.
Well, another really cool, interesting fact that they did in this movie is that the chainsaw noises that they made, they actually added bear growls to help thicken out the sound a little bit.
Did they use another animal as well?
I think so, but I couldn't remember what it was. I just remember hearing him say the bear growl.
Right.
so that it would give this roar.
And it does.
And it does. It
has
sounds
a
really
big
good.
Impact, yeah.
Well, a really funny little thing that I think is kind of cool and silly is that Eric Balfour stripped naked on Rap.
Oh, yeah. He's like, you guys can have your clothes back.
Yeah, dude. And they show the scene. They were like, he was like, yeah, hey, everybody, thank you so much for being here. I'm just going to go ahead and take off my set clothes because I don't fucking need these anymore. So you can go ahead and take them all off. And everybody's like, what the fuck? So he like got completely naked.
Yeah. That's crazy.
He's a wild man, huh?
Oh, man. He's a good actor, and I do hope they come out with another Skyline.
They are coming out with another Skyline, and guess who's going to be it? Frank Grillo.
Really?
Yeah, he was in the Purge, Anarchy,
Yeah.
and Election Day. He's going to be in it.
As like the main...
I don't know how it's connected. It looks a little wonky to me. Like, I haven't seen a trailer or anything.
I just want to see him rip shit up as an alien. Tell me that story.
I don't know what's going to happen, man. I don't think they got the budget that they wanted.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the first one did that well, but I really like Skyline. I don't know
do
why.
too.
Like, it's not a perfect movie, but there's so many cool elements in it that
really
I do like. So I can't hate the whole fucking thing. I just don't think it's a great movie. I just think it's a good movie.
Yeah.
One of my favorite scenes in the whole fucking movie has nothing to do with Leatherface. It's literally Jessica Biel getting in the fucking car and running over R. Lee Ermey.
Oh,
like
dude.
3 fucking times, dude.
So great.
I was like, yes! Like, I fucking love when they do that in movies, man.
What was the other movie they did that in again?
Jeepers Creepers.
Jeepers Creepers, yeah.
Yeah. They just, like, I think they did that, like, 10 times in that movie. Like, fuck, dude. I was like, yeah. I stood up in the theater for Jeepers Creepers for
Did
that.
you?
Yeah, I was, like, so excited. I was like, I don't know what it is, but it's like, yeah, fuck that, dude. Like, I'm not going to fuck around. Like, once you hit him, it's not over. Like, just keep going, man. Like, just get wild.
Right, that's what I think when people shoot somebody and they drop down and they're dead. And they're like, why don't you just walk up to him and empty your clip into his face?
Just drive over his head and pop his head like a pumpkin. Pop his head like a fucking pumpkin. And she's like screaming. She's like, fuck you!
But I have to say, one of my favorite scenes.
It's not my favorite scene. God damn it. I just realized it. Fuck you.
All right, he might be mad because I might be taking the scene now. But
It's all right.
One of my favorite scenes, and we got good taste, so, you know,
All
whatever.
right.
Is when they're escaping the house, when they're going back into the house to look for her boyfriend or whatever with the other friend, the Dick, which I don't remember the character's name. I'm so bad with character names. So they ended up running out of the house when Leatherface is chasing him, and they're going through all the clothes.
Oh.
And he gets his fucking leg cut off.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool scene.
But that's not the scene I really like is when he throws him over his shoulder like a fucking meat. It's like a big hunk of meat and just takes him down the cellar and he fucking puts salt on it and then he wraps it up in butcher paper.
Yeah.
I fucking love it. It's
Yeah, it
my
was all
favorite.
like weird with it. Well, I'm really glad that you said that was one of your favorite scenes because actually the best scene in the entire fucking movie was the single shot where they had the girl who blew her brains out.
Oh, of course. Of course.
And then fucking the brains go out the back window. The camera, as they're horrified and screaming, backs up. You see her head fall back. And then they all run out of the car. And the camera is still on the crane. It's like this single shot. Fucking awesome, dude. Like, that is such a great shot. And I've seen other movies do similar stuff like that. Like, I think around that time, the movie Versus that we watched
right.
did something similar like that, where he punched him through the head.
Not as elaborate as that.
No, that is
was
way more
super
elaborate, yeah. They had to try it like so many times. They thought they weren't going to be able to do it, and they still
said
did it.
they after I think they did what, like 10 takes, that
Yeah,
it eventually just
12
became
or
like a
something.
dance that they just knew what to do.
Right. So I don't know. I'm glad it came. That shot is so good.
It's like you said, it's the money shot. It's what sells this movie.
Yeah. I mean, I came in my mouth. And yours a little. I think you have some in your beard.
Yeah, there was some residual from that.
What else? What else do you got? You got anything else?
Well, I think my other favorite scene has to be when he's on the hook in the basement.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the one we were talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a great scene, well shot, well lit.
I liked his feet, the little touch
On the piano?
on the piano keys. I thought that was kind of cool.
I almost want to sample that and put it in a song.
I mean, all in all, I mean, I think it's not as bad a movie as they give it. I think it's got like a 38% or 4.5 on Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic. I think that's kind of low.
I think it's way low.
I don't think it's that low bad. Like, I think it's, I don't know. Like, you know, when you touch people's nostalgia, they get a little weird, man.
Oh, yeah.
It's like touching your kid. No, you're like, don't touch my kid, dude. I don't have a kid, but I imagine if I had one, like, I wouldn't want people to touch it.
Right.
I'm just saying.
But, I mean, it did play along the same tropes as the first movie did. Like I said, it's basically the first movie in another dimension.
Yeah, it hits a lot of the same cinematography, the same beats, but, you know, that's because, you know, Daniel Pearl is on the board. Right. But, yeah, they paid a lot of homage to some of the stuff. And there was even I heard that in the original movie, the guy who was driving the car, who I didn't mention in the actors list, I can't think of his name offhand, he was complaining about the heat.
Oh, yeah?
So bad. So in the new one, Eric Balfour's driving, and he's like, they're like, hey, can you kick on the air conditioner back here? And he just hits it a couple of times. He's like, no.
This is like a fan.
Yeah, and it's like, I think that was kind of a jab or something. I don't know why, but I feel like that was kind of a jab. But even though it's not.
Right.
I don't know. I still think it's a good movie. I think it's probably more of like a 6 or 7. Probably a 7 more than anything.
I think 7 is...
I can rewatch this movie and have no problem rewatching it at all. Like, I've seen worse fucking Texas Chainsaw Massacre sequels than this.
I'm going to go home tonight and probably watch the beginnings and go to bed.
Oh, you want to watch the beginning?
No, it was the second movie they came out with after this last one.
Yeah, but there was 3.
I did not see that one.
I thought there was another one. Maybe I'm getting confused. See, but I haven't been following this whole thing for a while.
Like, I haven't watched... I don't even think I've seen the beginnings, but it's been such a long time that I have no idea what happens.
Right.
In the movie.
Well, I want to watch part 2. I want to watch all of them, you know, all the way up.
Right.
So, I don't know. We'll see.
I don't want to watch that one again just because of...
Plus, it's a good thing that we watch these because the new Leatherface is coming out soon.
Yeah.
That's the director of Inside, which I'm kind of curious is a brutal fucking movie. So I'm kind of hoping that it'll be all right. I'm okay with him directing and knowing that he's doing it, but there's been a little bit of trouble with that movie. Just announcing it.
Right.
I think they were using, like, I don't know. We'll see how it is. It's supposed to be like kind of like Halloween was, like the remake.
Oh, really?
So
where they tell him like from when he's
like
a boy,
he's a child. Yeah, that's what I heard. Like it's gonna dip into that. I don't know how much. Maybe just like very briefly in the beginning.
Maybe just a couple spots that you just know about already.
Right. I think if they started to try to do it that way, but who knows? Maybe it'll be like really dark.
I know, but you know how that goes. When you read too much into a character, it kind of loses his...
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely not the same movie.
Right. You don't want to lose too much mystique.
Well, now, let's break down the 2. What do you think? If you had to pick one...
The original all day.
Yeah.
All day, every day.
I'm with you on that. I like the new one. I think the new one does some really cool stuff. But in the end, they put lightning in a bottle.
Right.
So much that it became a classic movie compared to Night of the Living Dead, even.
Right.
And I know, like, you know, some people like those movies, some don't. Christina doesn't like Dawn of the Dead. The original.
The original Dawn of the Dead?
And I'm like, she was like, yeah, the new one's way better. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah.
That is like the best movie of all of them. Like, what are you talking about? But yeah, she's, you know, she was probably a little late to that game.
Right.
So she probably saw the new one first. But that's okay. You know, I still kind of love her.
God, if I have to.
I'm just kidding.
I mean, you guys got bills. So.
I love you, baby. But I don't know. Yeah, I would have to say the first one, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you cannot compare the two in that sense. You can enjoy both of them, but if it's going to be down to the two, in my opinion, I like the old one. I like the original.
Right.
Because it was just so raw and real, and for its time, that was. If I could go back, the audience was probably like petrified, dude.
Right, dude.
You know, like
yeah.
Like, imagine if that movie, like, it'd be so shocking to so many people because it's like, I don't know. People were not used to seeing shit like that.
There wasn't a lot of movies around like that.
No, and that hit, like, the mainstream, dude. Like,
right.
So, I don't know. I think they're both good. I know some people hate the remake just because it's a remake. Lighten up a little. There's some good stuff in it. Just because there's a lot of bad, like, overall bad, doesn't mean that there's not some redeeming value in the remake.
What was your favorite part of the movie? Was it...
Of what?
This everything out of the movie, of the new movie. What was your absolute favorite piece? It could
Oh,
be
the
like,
headshot, like the fucking suicide thing.
Yeah.
That was amazing. That was a great shot. That was like phenomenal, and it looked real as fuck.
I would have to say it's either that or just Leatherface himself. Man, he is scary as fuck in that movie.
I don't know, man. I couldn't really get into him that much.
No?
He's a hulking beast, and I'm not trying to say that Andrew who acted as him did a bad job or anything, but I'd have to go with Gunnar Hansen if I had to compare the two.
I don't know. I like his brutal take on him. I do like, of course, Gunnar Hansen's take on him.
Oh, really?
But
I'm just giving you shit.
But yeah, there was something about that look, the way that lip was pulled up.
Well, yeah, they had more time to think about it, but
right.
like for its originality, I still think Gunnar Hansen's movements. He designed the character. He is the reason that Leatherface is anything. And
I'm just talking about my favorite thing out of that movie. The aesthetic look of Leatherface was great.
I don't know. I think he was more childlike in the first one.
Well, yeah, obviously. I think what was it? He gave him creative control over Leatherface. Of course, under his supervision, but he was like, make it your own character.
Toby Hooper?
Yeah. And he went to a mental asylum or somewhere that people who had special needs.
Right.
Just to see how they interacted and shit like that. Because
that was in the first one.
Right, the first movie. I'm talking about the first movie, yeah.
Yeah.
And he kind of like based it off that, like how he had like mental illness, and apparently people who have a mental illness.
Well, in the commentary,
right,
he called it a retard school.
Oh no way.
I know. I was like, well, that must have been really old.
Yeah.
I know that he's not a bad person or anything, but
it was a different time.
Me and Christina were like, ooh. You don't do that nowadays.
But if a pair of people who've seen his performance who are mentally handicapped said that he did a fucking phenomenal job.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I think they're both really good movies. I definitely think the original is going to win this one out, guys.
Oh, yeah.
What do you guys think? Do you like the original versus the other one? Do you like them both? Do you hate both of them? Do you hate one of them? Which one's the best to you? Sound off in the comments for us below. Now, to close this out, we are going to be coming back next week to do something different. I was thinking maybe we should do Class of 1984 and Class of 1999, and maybe even the sequel to Class of 1999, but I wouldn't mind doing those. Well, I mean, we'll talk about it. I think we should watch those movies.
We'll probably end up doing that.
It's been a while since I've seen them. That's my bid. But, guys, we will be back next week to talk about quite a few things. In fact, we're going to have one of our friends come on for the next Monday episode for next week. And that's going to be Brittany, our friend Brittany. And she's a special effects person. She does a lot of, like, design and special effects as well as, like, painting and all kinds of really cool stuff. She's a lot of fun. So she's going to be on visiting with us. And I'm super excited to have her on. She's one of my good friends here in town, and I think you'll get along with her great, dude.
Cool.
So, but yeah, guys, definitely tune in next week. We'll be here. Thank you so much for coming by. Don't forget to put your name in the Beat TV VIP club on the longlivethevoid.com website that we have. If you want free shit, seriously, free shit, free money. Okay? All you gotta do is hold your hand out.
And we'll give it to you.
Yeah, we'll give it to you, motherfuckers! No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, thank you guys so much for stopping by.
Have a good weekend, guys.
We'll see you next time.
Listening to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. Tune in every Monday for a brand new episode.